The Eric Fleming. Mystery finally solved and isn't good. Eric Fleming was born Edward Hetty Jr. on July 4th, 1925, in Santa Paula, California. His early life was marked by hardship, including a troubled childhood and a strained relationship with his abusive father. After running away from home, Fleming served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. Following his military service, he found his way into acting through stage work and, eventually, television. He gained fame for his role as trail boss Gil Favor on the hit Western series Rawhide, where he starred alongside a young Clint Eastwood. Despite his tough guy persona on screen, Fleming was known for being reserved and introspective off-camera. His career was tragically cut short in 1966 when he died in a drowning accident while filming a movie in Peru. Fleming's life remains a compelling story of personal resilience, rising from a painful past to become one of television's classic Western heroes. Eric Fleming's unlikely acting journey. Before becoming a familiar face in the golden era of television westerns, Eric Fleming's path to acting was anything but conventional. Building on the difficult beginnings of his life, surviving abuse, homelessness, and the scars of war, Fleming's introduction to acting was rooted in personal healing and self-discovery. After serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II and sustaining serious injuries, Fleming returned to civilian life with both physical and emotional wounds. In an effort to overcome a pronounced speech impediment, he enrolled in acting classes at Paramount Studios, not to become an actor, but simply to speak more clearly. Yet those very lessons opened an unexpected door. What started as therapy evolved into passion. He soon realized that acting gave him a voice, not just literally, but artistically. Fleming began performing in local theater productions in Los Angeles, gradually building confidence on stage. His rugged looks and quiet intensity made him stand out in war dramas and noir pieces. But it was the theater that first gave him his professional start. His early performances earned respect among peers, even if they didn't lead to immediate fame. In the early 1950s, Fleming started landing small parts in television shows and low-budget films. Though not yet a household name, he brought depth and gravitas to even minor roles. It was clear to casting directors that this wasn't just another handsome face. Fleming had lived through darkness, and it gave his performances an authenticity that resonated on screen. His breakthrough came not through charm or charisma, but through resilience. Despite being told early on that he lacked the spark to lead, Fleming remained persistent. He studied, rehearsed relentlessly, and carried the same work ethic he had developed in the Navy into every audition and set he walked onto. That grit would eventually land him his most iconic role. But in these formative years, Fleming laid the foundation for a career born from adversity. His journey reminds us that sometimes the best actors are the ones who never set out to perform. They're just trying to survive. Fleming's rise as Gil Favor, following his unexpected rise from personal struggle to promising actor. Eric Fleming's career took a defining turn when he was cast as trail boss Gil Favor in the groundbreaking television Western Rawhide. This role didn't just make him a familiar face, it made him a star. Rawhide, which aired from 1959 to 1965, was part of the golden age of Western television. What set it apart wasn't just the sweeping landscapes or action-packed cattle drives, but its focus on leadership, morality, and human endurance. And at the center of it all stood Gil Favor, portrayed with quiet strength and authority by Fleming. Fleming's portrayal of Favor was layered and deeply compelling. He wasn't a flashy cowboy or a caricature of frontier masculinity. Instead, he was measured, disciplined, and deeply human. Favor was the man who kept the cattle drive moving, who handled the drama between cowboys, and who often wrestled with moral decisions under the harsh sun. Fleming brought a sense of gravity and soul to the role, qualities that resonated with viewers across America. The chemistry between Fleming and the show's rising co-star Clint Eastwood, who played Rowdy Yates, also added richness to the series. While Eastwood's youthful energy appealed to a younger audience, it was Fleming's steady leadership that grounded the show. Behind the scenes, the dynamic wasn't always smooth. Creative tensions were reported, but on screen, it worked. Fleming's professionalism and maturity gave the show its backbone. Fleming appeared in over 180 episodes of Rawhide, and his performance became the heart of the series. For many fans, Rawhide was as much about Gil Favor's integrity and inner conflict as it was about action and adventure. Fleming wasn't just delivering lines. He was building a character that reflected both the ideals and struggles of post-war American manhood. The success of Rawhide catapulted Fleming into national fame. He became a symbol of strength, duty, and quiet heroism at a time when American audiences craved such figures. Though he would take on other roles later, none matched the impact of Gil Favor. In retrospect, the role was the culmination of Fleming's journey from broken beginnings to cultural icon. And even decades after Rawhide ended, the legacy of Gil Favor and Eric Fleming's unforgettable portrayal continues to ride on. Eric Fleming's trailblazing career, riding the wave of success that Rawhide brought him. Eric Fleming reached the peak of his career during the early 1960s. As Gil Favor, he had become a fixture in American households, admired for his quiet strength, stoic leadership, and commanding presence. But beyond the iconic role, Fleming was also expanding his reach as an actor, exploring new projects and striving to define his legacy beyond the dusty trails of the Western frontier. At the height of Rawhide's popularity, Fleming was not just a star, he was a cultural figure. Weekly, millions tuned in to CBS to watch him lead cattle drives, navigate moral dilemmas, and mentor younger characters like Rowdy Yates. His performance gave weight and emotional depth to the series, and many credited him for anchoring the show's tone. In an era saturated with westerns, Fleming's portrayal of Favor stood out for its humanity. He didn't rely on bravado, but on quiet conviction. Fleming's stardom brought him invitations to appear on other shows, interviews, and even movie offers. He guest starred in series like Bonanza, The Twilight Zone, and Branded, showing his range beyond the Western genre. His roles in these shows revealed an actor capable of subtle emotion and intensity, proving he was more than just a cowboy figure. Despite his growing fame, Fleming remained deeply committed to Rawhide, which by season 6 had become a cornerstone of primetime television. However, tensions between cast members and producers, as well as shifting audience tastes, began to affect the show. When CBS decided to retool the series in 1965, Fleming was shockingly dropped. The decision blindsided both him and the show's devoted fans. Without Gil Favor, Rawhide suffered a decline and was canceled after one final season. Although this could have marked the end of Fleming's momentum, he instead embraced the change. He began seeking more serious film roles, including international productions. His final and most ambitious project was the 1966 film High Jungle, shot in the remote jungles of Peru. It was during this production that tragedy struck. Fleming drowned while filming a dangerous river scene. Ironically, just as he was poised to break free from his typecasting and start a bold new chapter, his life was cut short. Yet, it was in the years of Rawhide and his efforts beyond that role where Eric Fleming carved his place in television history. Eric Fleming's enduring legacy in acting Though Eric Fleming's life was tragically cut short, his accomplishments in the world of acting left a lasting impression, building on the success and recognition he earned during the peak of Rawhide. Fleming crafted a body of work that reflected both his rugged charisma and surprising emotional depth. His impact went far beyond one character or show. He became a symbol of a certain era in television history. Fleming's most well-known achievement was, of course, his portrayal of trail boss Gil Favor in Rawhide. The role not only made him a household name, but also established him as a serious dramatic actor. Unlike many Western protagonists who relied on toughness alone, Fleming's Gil Favor exhibited wisdom, patience, and moral clarity. His leadership style on screen, measured, thoughtful, and quietly authoritative, resonated with audiences and critics alike. But Fleming was determined not to be pigeonholed. He pursued a range of roles in other notable TV series such as Bonanza, The Twilight Zone, and Branded, displaying versatility that surprised those who knew him only as a cowboy figure. In The Twilight Zone, particularly in the episode The Passage on the Lady Anne, he showcased a more refined and introspective side, further cementing his range as an actor. Fleming pursued diverse film roles, showcasing his strong screen presence. Perhaps one of his most admirable traits was his commitment to the craft. Fleming was known for being prepared, professional, and deeply engaged with the emotional arcs of his characters. He approached each role with sincerity and a sense of responsibility. His castmates often noted that behind his rugged exterior was an actor with a deep understanding of story and character motivation. His final endeavor, the film High Jungle, though never completed, represented Fleming's attempt to further expand his acting credentials and move into more globally diverse storytelling. His willingness to travel to the Peruvian jungle to shoot on location revealed not only his professional dedication, but also his belief in immersive storytelling. Though his life ended at just 41, Eric Fleming's acting achievements remain significant. He broke out of the limitations of early television typecasting and proved that he was more than just a Western hero. He was a disciplined, thoughtful actor who respected the power of story. Eric Fleming's private life revealed, while Eric Fleming carved a name for himself as a rugged trail boss and versatile actor, the private details of his life remained largely off the public radar. In contrast to the bold characters he portrayed on screen, Fleming was known to be deeply reserved when it came to matters of the heart and home. Following his rising fame from Rawhide, many fans assumed he led a glamorous life full of romance and indulgence, but the truth was far more understated. Fleming never married, and although there were occasional rumors of relationships with co-stars and admirers, he remained largely unattached throughout his life. This absence of a high-profile marriage puzzled many in Hollywood, where coupling and scandal often go hand in hand with fame. Some close to him believed that his traumatic upbringing and experiences during childhood, where he faced abuse and ran away from home, made it difficult for him to trust others deeply. His closest relationships were with friends and colleagues who appreciated his loyalty and introspective nature. On set, Fleming was professional and supportive, often forming quiet but meaningful bonds with cast and crew members. While he didn't have children of his own, many described him as having a naturally protective, almost paternal instinct, especially toward younger actors or new faces on set. One of the most documented aspects of his personal life was his long-term companionship with actress Lynn Osborne. The nature of their relationship was never publicly defined. Whether it was purely platonic or something deeper remains unclear, but it was evident that they shared a deep connection. They were often seen together attending industry functions or spending weekends away from Hollywood's spotlight. Despite his solitary public image, Fleming reportedly yearned for a sense of belonging. He once mentioned in a rare interview that acting helped fill a void within him. "You get to be someone people admire, even if you don't always feel it yourself," he confessed. This quote subtly reflected his inner longing for emotional security, something perhaps never fully realized in his personal life. Just before his untimely death, friends said Fleming had started to talk more openly about settling down. His trip to Peru to film High Jungle was not only a professional step, but also seen by some as a personal reset, a chance to refocus his life. Tragically, that opportunity was never fulfilled. Eric Fleming's hidden final years. While Eric Fleming had achieved success and recognition with Rawhide, what unfolded behind the scenes in the final chapter of his life remains a bittersweet tale of showbiz politics, personal reinvention, and a tragic ending, following his stellar run as trail boss Gil Favor. Fleming's journey took a surprising and heartbreaking turn in 1965, one that few fans fully understood at the time. The arrival of new Rawhide producer Ben Brady brought sweeping changes aimed at refreshing the show. In an unexpected move, Brady fired Fleming and several veteran cast members, shocking viewers who had come to see Fleming as the backbone of the series. Fleming himself later revealed that CBS let him go primarily due to his salary demands, jokingly inflating it to $1 million a year, though it was closer to $220,000. Clint Eastwood reluctantly took over as the leading man, but the dynamic that had once defined Rawhide was gone. CBS then shifted the show to a Tuesday night time slot, placing it directly against ABC's wartime hit Combat. Ratings plummeted, and the show was canceled by the end of 1965. Despite the blow, Fleming remained determined to evolve beyond the cowboy typecast. He appeared in The Glass Bottom Boat, a romantic comedy starring Doris Day, showcasing his comedic timing and range. But it was in the TV Western Bonanza where Fleming gave one of his most powerful performances. In a memorable two-part episode, he played a principled Mormon rancher confronting religious prejudice, a bold, progressive storyline for its time. He also portrayed a brutal sheriff in a separate episode, proving he could master both villainy and virtue with equal command. However, fate would not grant him long to explore this new chapter. In 1966, Fleming traveled to Peru to shoot High Jungle, a television adventure film set in the Amazon. During the filming of a river scene, Fleming tragically drowned after the canoe he was in capsized. He wasn't wearing a life jacket. Friends later said he had expressed concern about the river's dangers, but budget pressures kept the crew pushing forward. His body was recovered downstream, ending the life of a man who had finally started carving out a more nuanced identity in Hollywood. Eric Fleming's final years were marked by reinvention, dignity, and artistic courage. What began as a cowboy legacy evolved into something far more complex until it was cut short by tragedy. The tragic end of Eric Fleming. After years of navigating the highs and lows of Hollywood, Eric Fleming's life came to a heartbreaking close during the filming of High Jungle in 1966. While shooting a river scene in the Peruvian jungle, the canoe he was in overturned. He drowned after being swept away by the current without a life vest, despite voicing concerns about the river's danger. Fleming's untimely death at just 41 stunned fans worldwide. His passing marked not just the end of a promising new chapter in his career, but also the loss of a complex, evolving actor finally stepping into deeper artistic territory. Eric Fleming's enduring legacy, though his life was tragically cut short. Eric Fleming left behind a legacy that continues to resonate, best remembered as the strong, principled trail boss Gil Favor in Rawhide. He brought depth and quiet charisma to the screen. Fleming helped redefine the television Western with a more serious, character-driven approach. His performances inspired future generations of actors, including his co-star Clint Eastwood, even decades later. Fleming's work remains a testament to the power of restraint and integrity in acting. A lesson in integrity and quiet strength. Eric Fleming's story reminds us that true greatness doesn't always roar, from overcoming an abusive childhood to becoming a respected actor. Fleming's journey teaches us the power of resilience, humility, and staying true to one's principles. He never chased fame, but instead chose roles with meaning, often portraying characters of honor and quiet leadership. His tragic end underscores the unpredictability of life, but his legacy encourages us to live with purpose and integrity, even when no one is watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts.